What up, yo? It's Marc with the Fantasy Knockout Fantasy Football Show. Today is Friday, September 9th. Follow the show. We're at Fantasy Knockout on all social media. Make sure to subscribe whatever platform you are listening or watching on. Yes, that's right. Head over to YouTube. Please subscribe. My goal is to get 100 subscribers as soon as possible. I'm excited for today's show because it's the week one start sit. Who are we feeling confident about this week? Who are we worried about? I want to give a shout out to Tim for leaving a review. He wrote, best fantasy show out there, won my league last year. So I want to say thank you, Tim, for doing that. Let's talk some news.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here is the news.
News with views. Running back Ken Walker of the Seattle Seahawks, he was sidelined during Tuesday's practice. His head coach Pete Carroll said last week that Walker was feeling way better, but that has not translated into the practice field just yet. I believe he got a did not practice on Thursday. So we'll talk about in and outs on the next show, but Walker is trending out this week. Tight end George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers, he was injured in practice earlier in the week and is now sidelined. His head coach Shanahan said that they're going to take it day by day after George did not feel good on Wednesday. He looks to be a game time call this week. Quarterback Zach Wilson of the New York Jets, his head coach Robert Saleh said that Wilson's knee will miss at least the first 4 weeks of the season. Whoa, that's huge. So Joe Flacco is going to be the quarterback there. That's going to adjust some stats and projections, in my opinion. That he wants Zach to recover physically and mentally is what Saleh said. So Flacco's a starter there. I give a tick up in the rushing game and some of the passing because I like Flacco better than I do Wilson. Wide receiver Rondale Moore out of the Arizona Cardinals. He was forced from Thursday's practice with a hamstring injury and is undergoing an MRI. Ouch, that's not good. They are not fully staffed in the wide receiver and tight end. I think Ertz is banged up too, and Hopkins is suspended. So Arizona, whoa, that's not good for them. The in and out show is tomorrow. We will go over players that I think if they'll be in or out and if we should start them or sit them. We'll go over a lot of the injuries on tomorrow's show. All right, the main event, who to start, who to sit. And if you can't find the player you're looking for, or if I don't talk about them, please check out my latest rankings at fantasyknockout.com and look at the rankings and go from there. So quarterbacks, we're going to start Aaron Rodgers with the Green Bay Packers. Don't sleep on the back-to-back reigning MVP, even though he lost his offensive coordinator and he lost Devontae Adams. He has averaged 30.6 points per game on 332 passing yards and 3.25 touchdowns in his last 4 contests against the Vikings. The streamable option this week is Jameis Winston out of New Orleans. He faces the Falcons, who gave up the second most fantasy points per game to quarterbacks with 19.3 last year. He was much better than he got credit for when he was healthy, averaging 16.8 points per game, and gets a much upgraded weaponry at the wide receiver with Olave, Landry, and Michael Thomas. Running backs to start, we're going to start Chase Edmonds out of Miami. Whoa, did you say that right? Yes, he is facing New England. Start him in what may be perceived as a tough matchup against the Patriots. New England allowed the 11th most points per game to running backs, plus New England's going to focus on Tyreek Hill and Waddle more than Edmonds, in my opinion. Co-start, another guy I like this week is A.J. Dillon out of Green Bay. So Dillon averaged 16.4 touches per game from week 10 on last season. In games with at least 16 touches for Dillon, he averaged 18.5 fantasy points per game. I like Dillon a lot this year. Start him with confidence right now. Dillon he should definitely see enough volume to be an RB2, but he comes up with the RB1 upside. We're going to fade J.K. Dobbins out of Baltimore. He may suit up, but even if he does, he's not 100% healthy. So look for Mike Davis to get the bulk of the workload there in week 1. Some wide receivers I like this week. Hollywood Brown, Marquise Brown. He makes his debut in a probable shootout against the Kansas City Chiefs, and I believe many are overlooking Hollywood this year. Kyler throws a much better deep ball than Lamar ever did when Hollywood was in Baltimore. So on passes of 20-plus air yards, Kyler has a 47% completion rate, 111.1 passer rating, and average 15.7 yards per attempt. Lamar, on the other hand, had a 29% completion rate, 63.8 passer rating, and a 10.5 yards per attempt. Not even close. Rashad Bateman, I like him as well. Feel confident in starting him in your flex. He's the new number 1 wide receiver for Lamar. He's a big-bodied wideout who can win downfield and as a contested catch monster. He faces the Jets defense who, yes, they have improved, but still allowed the 5th most fantasy points per game to receivers last season. Then we're going to fade Amari Cooper out of the Cleveland Browns. So Jacoby Brissett is at quarterback, not Deshaun Watson. Team should game plan to make anyone but Cooper beat them in the passing game. Plus, the Browns should focus on the run more than normal and aren't going to have a prolific passing game by any means. Some tight ends we're going to look at. We're going to start David Njoku of the Cleveland Browns. But Mark, you just said we're going to fade a Cooper. Yes, we're fading Cooper, but not Njoku. In Brissett's 2 seasons as a primary starter for the Colts, Jack Doyle was the tight end there. He had 80 and 72 receptions. Doyle was a very slow tight end with small hands. And then here's a tiny sample size this preseason. Njoku was targeted 22% in routes run with Brissett as the quarterback this preseason. Small sample size, I know, but still, I think Jacoby's going to hyper-target Njoku this week. And then we're going to fade Mike Gaseki out of the Dolphins. He was lining up as a slot, or in the slot as a wide receiver last year a lot. Plus, there's fear that he could lose snaps to better blocking tight ends on the roster. There are volume concerns with the addition of Tyreek Hill as well. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today. The next show we have is the Week 1 injuries. We're going to go over start guys who are going to be in and out. I want to say thank you for listening to the show. Make sure to subscribe wherever you're at. Let's get those YouTube subscriptions as well. All right. Till next time. See ya.